Hey everyone, Draco Magnius here for another episode of Omen Exitio Plague. In the last episode, we lived a few, days? About a week or so? With the Cult of the Stone Mask that seemed to be the people funding our research. We also, when we were finally released from there, got a message from the person who's been sending us mysterious messages all this time, telling us about the plan forward. In this episode, we are going to go with, let me make sure I got my names right here. Notes. Where is he? I don't see him in here. Well, the man who owed us a debt, our captain, is going to come with us to try and get this shit sorted out. But without further ado, the moment has arrived. You are unexpectedly calm. You are ready to do what needs to be done. You call a coach and prepare to go to the meeting point. You glimpse small snatches of London scenes through the carriage window as you pass. A part of you says goodbye, in case you should never see it again. Smith is sitting in front of you, silently smoking his pipe. He occasionally looks over at you, but you know he isn't going to interrupt your thoughts. He never looks out the window, and occasionally picks up his weapon in his hand and checks its parts thoroughly. For the first time in many months, you feel completely calm. You know now that you're not crazy, and no longer feel the terrible weight of persecution, whether real or imagined. Instead, you have a clear purpose, and a chance to put an end to the nefarious plans of an insidious monster. As per the instructions, you get out of the carriage. A small distance from the actual meeting place. You thank and pay the driver. For a moment, you are suspicious. The driver's complexion is very dark, but you cannot be certain since it's getting dark. You try to get a better look at him, but he whips the horses into motion. He smiles, and you suddenly see his brilliant white teeth in contrast to his dark skin. You walk with Smith down to the port, toward the specified dock. You pull the top hat securely down onto your head, and the weight of the bomb is not so much, perhaps only a pound and a few ounces, so you can wear the hat with sufficient ease. Hidden from clothes, your skin feels slimy with the fireproof ointment you so carefully prepared. Well, at least we're hiding it with style. You have reserved an extra portion of it in your pocket for your face. You can't be sure whether it's enough to protect you, but deep down you realize that matters little. At the dock, you see a man from the cult standing guard. You tell Smith to stay behind and wait for your signal. The man welcomes you. You give him the password, and he tells you to follow him. The warehouse stinks, and its gloomy interior is filled with damp, tangled ropes and boxes. You follow the man along a dark passageway, and then he moves aside. A large trunk and opens a trapdoor to reveal a thin ladder going down. With nobody in sight, you make short work of the man by grabbing his throat and strangling him silently. Then you signal to Smith. When he comes over, you exchange glances. Then you go first down the ladder. A few yards underground, you find yourself in a large chamber that looks like a temple, but not of any ancient civilization that you know of. Doric columns, an altar, and the sound of water dripping and echoing complete the surreal scene. You feel as if you've entered a parallel world. Around you, there are men and women wearing the, by now, familiar masks and kilts. On the altar, there is a mask and a kilt, presumably yours. 3 large men stand before the altar. You decide they must be the leaders. One of them gestures for you to come closer. As you walk, you feel hands upon you, gently stripping you out of your blazer, while the men on the altar are chanting litanies, but you're hardly listening to them. It's time for you to act. So, this is a tough choice. Obviously, the fighting is the dumbest thing I could do because my stats for fight are garbage. They're at 3. Throwing the top hat means we immediately gun into it. We throw the hat, we say, "Fuck all of you!" Boom! It explodes. We take action. Stalling, we could learn a bit more by doing that. But do I want to do that? Let them take your clothes to buy time. I don't know. My instincts tell me to stall for time, so we can learn more. But at the same time, since they're taking my clothes, including the top hat, they might find the bomb. If I just throw the top hat, things are going to get real wild real fast. Stall. They have removed your blazer and are opening your shirt. Someone has grabbed a hold of your top hat. Agility. Let them do it. Preparing to make a run for the exit. Take back the hat and throw it at the altar. Take the hat and throw it at the ground a little distance away. I think we're going to go with this. You have no choice. You must act. Taking off your hat, you throw it with a force towards the altar. The weight of the bomb facilitates the throw. It hits the large block of stone directly, and according to the plan, the internal glass components break, mixing the flammable chemicals. The explosion is not particularly big, but it is sufficient to spray the flaming liquid produced by the chemical reaction in all directions, creating a dangerous fire in a matter of seconds. 2 of the 3 men at the altar are killed in the blast. The third is lying on the ground screaming and trying to extinguish the flames that are searing his skin. Many other members of the cult are on fire, and all around there is absolute chaos. You spread the remaining ointment on your face and turn toward the exit. The heat of the flames is unbearable, and your clothes are starting to catch fire. You see Smith at the end of the chamber, all ready to cover your retreat with a rain of bullets. The machine gun is impressive. It vomits bullets non-stop, cutting through the bodies of the cult members with ease. You are elated by the effectiveness of Smith's weapon, but also rather revolted by its devastating effect. 2 of the cultists are upon you, hindering your escape. Observation, try to get to the exit. Observation, obviously, it's my better stat. Right? Yeah, by 1 point, but still, it's my better stat. Bye-bye! Thanks to Smith's cover, you have enough time to pick out the best route by which to reach the exit. You close the trapdoor and pull the trunk back over it, weighing it down with other boxes and random objects. You walk away, not just for your own safety, but to get away from the screaming, albeit muffled, coming from underground. Smith is at your side, following you silently. You are definitely not celebrating. You have done something truly terrible. You are consoled, however, by the thought that you have put an end to their plan for world domination via the spread of disease. Slowly limping with pain, you walk away from the docks with Smith. Aftermath. You're able to destroy the cult and put an end to the threat that would have spread a deadly disease all over the world in order to control it. What's my current, Oh, I'm at 2 more points and I can boost... Oh, but which one do I boost? That is an excellent question. Probably closing this out, or at least that's what it seems like. Big Ben stands black... stands black? Yeah. Big Ben stands black against the night and just beyond it. There is the outline of Parliament, piercing the sky with its spires. London is never silent, but at night, the usual cacophonous voice of the city is muted, and your footsteps echo and reverberate through its alleyways and mews. You are imagining disturbing shadows reaching down from the firmament, as if some dark entity were trying to strangle your city, heinous fingers searching for a throat. Captain, you've already risked so much for me. I think the time has come for our paths to diverge. I do not know how I shall ever be able to express my gratitude. Your help exceeded all expectations on my part. I still do not know what it is that you are mixed up in, Jake, but there was not a single moment that I ever questioned your loyalties. You saved my son's life, and tonight, perhaps you've saved much more than that. I do not regret for a moment making you that promise ensues. He looks at you intensely for a moment and smiles, shakes your hand warmly, and then you part ways in silence. You believe that you're free of the cult, but is it really so definite? What if there are other surviving branches? Furthermore, what happened at the docks will come to light. Will the police be able to deduce your involvement in some way? Maybe you're just being paranoid, but it would probably be a good idea to disappear for a while. Go home or go to the station? If I go home, it puts me in the city where they could theoretically come to me if they actually manage to trace me down. I think it's better to head to the station. You don't stop running until you get to Victoria. You feel a measure of relief. It's a very big station, and the perfect place to disappear without a trace. You buy a ticket for the first available train the moment the ticket office opens. You walk away from the ticket office and look for an inconspicuous place to wait for your train. Somewhere you will have less chance of being seen. Finally, the first morning train makes its appearance at Victoria Station. You show your ticket to the conductor, who tells you your carriage and seat number. You have no trouble finding it, and take your seat a few minutes before departure. As the train leaves the platform and begins to rock rhythmically, you feel every muscle in your body slowly relaxing, finally giving way to a sense of relieved calm. All of a sudden you realize you didn't even look at the destination on your ticket, and you reach into your pocket. Apparently, you're on your way to Liverpool. Waves of serenity. The train is hurtling through the beautiful English countryside. It has been quite some time since you left. Behind the smoky black streets of the capital, for the luscious green fields and pleasant sloping hills all around it. The train has already stopped a number of times, and at every passing station, and despite your outward attempts at nonchalance, you have been throwing glances at the faces of people boarding for anything which could be constructed as suspicious. And each time it happens, you curse yourself and this involuntary, increasing paranoia. Several hours go by before the train reaches the last stop. But then finally, you hear the whistle announcing the final stop, Liverpool Central Station. You get off the train and hasten to leave the station, still with the horrible feeling of being constantly observed. Hooray! Okay, where do I want to spend this point? I'm leaning towards speechcraft, but at the same time, I could wait until I need to do a check and then spend it on that, because I think that would be the better option. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold off and we'll go from there. Leaving the station and walking the streets of the city, you soon detect the acrid smell of the Mersey. Mersey? Well, if it's like Jersey, it'd be Mersey. Heading in its direction, you pass vast throngs of people of different ethnicities, coming and going. Liverpool only officially became a city 20 years previously, and thanks to its busy port, it has been expanding constantly ever since. You've managed to leave London and get quite a distance from it, but you wonder if it will be enough. Although you've never been to Liverpool, and everything around you is new and unknown, you still feel as if there are people staring at you in the crowd. The best solution is to leave England and get as far away as possible, and it seems you are in the right place to board any ship and... It seems you are in the right place to board any ship at all and disappear. You could easily pay your way by working aboard. The port is huge, and like the one in London, filled with workers, sailors, and crowds of all kinds. Looking down toward the docks, you can see so many masts that it looks like a forest. Scanning the chaos, you make out what looks like a merchant. He's barking orders left and right, and something about his bearing reminds you of Captain Smith. You go up to him to speak.
"What do you want, boy? Don't waste my time. I'm busy."
"I would like to board your ship."
"Really? And who the devil are you?"
"My name is Jake Huntington. I'm looking for a job as a ship doctor." "My name is Jake Huntington. I'm looking for a job as a cabin boy." Doctor.
"Well, how about that? I'm getting a crew back together right now for my next voyage. Get ready, we're leaving today."
"Cool."
"You are sailing west with the merchant ship Serenity under Captain Francis J. Ellion. The first leg of the voyage will now take you to New Bedford in North America." As you were able to intuit from the moment you met him, Ellion knows that you're hiding something, but also that as long as you do your job well without making a fuss, he will not pry into your affairs. Okay, I got a lot of fucking experience. I should probably just spend it. I'm gonna pop it into Speechcraft, and we'll prep for the next thing when it comes up. Wham, bam, Francis Ellion. And now we're on the ocean. I just like getting rid of those. I should probably just move along with the story instead of going back and forth between everything. You have been at sea for some days already, and once again you're surrounded by a vast, unchanging expanse of blue. You've been assigned a small cabin and a medical kit. So far your job has been fairly easy, limited to treating and bandaging small wounds and dealing with minor stomach complaints or hangovers. Ooh, new item. There are not many opportunities for conversation, but there is a small library assembled by your predecessors on board, and so you spend a great deal of time reading. As you fall into the routine, your days at sea become identical. You spend the day busy with your tasks, and usually fall asleep the moment you get to your bunk. Over the last few days, however, you had moments of utter exhaustion, and on these occasions you have noticed some disturbing effects on your vision. You have seen or imagined strange shadows on the edge of your visual field. You cannot put it down to mere fatigue, or to the effects of the strong sun bearing down on you when you're on deck. There's something else. In your mind, you connect it to the paranoia that you were experiencing before your departure, and that your onboard workload had helped you forget. You are having nightmares again, though fortunately, for now, you forget what they were about the moment you wake up. But they give you a sense of unease, which continues the whole day. What little you can remember consists of dark and weird shapes rising up, like sea monsters from the black abyss. You try to conceal your gloomy animus from the crew and to concentrate on your daily tasks, but another terrible thought lies at the back of your mind. What if these latest symptoms, the dark feelings and the strange hallucinations, are not just a result of your paranoia in Delft and London, but a sign that you really did catch the disease in Zanzibar? It's night, and despite your exhaustion, you cannot sleep.
You decide, therefore, to go up on deck to feel the freshness of the evening on your face. There you find some men gathered in a circle, passing a round of rum and listening to stories. Adier Medina, the wiry Argentinian? Well, it should be Argentinian, but the wiry Argentine is holding court, amusing himself by scaring the younger members of the crew with tall tales of unthinkable, abominable creatures hidden in the depths of the South Seas. I'm going to regret this decision I'm about to make, but fuck it, let's stay and have some fun. When the sea is shaken by tropical storms, or when you're lost in an unnatural fog, well, that's when you start to worry. Maybe you think you know your ship. You think you know how to deal with the storms, or whatever else the ocean can throw at you. But in truth, that's when you will find out that you know nothing about the water, about the things which live under the water, or how great are their appetites. I was serving on a brig. It must be about 7 years ago now, when I saw one myself. There was an awful storm, and all of a sudden, I saw a giant tentacle rise up above the main mast, and then a giant and fearful shape emerging from the water behind it. For a few moments, we were completely in its shadow. Then, luckily, we were swept away from that terrifying thing by the fury of the storm. There is a murmur amongst the men, and someone tries to make light of the story, a sure sign that the story really did frighten them. When the storm finally calmed, we saw damage on the sides of the ship that no wave could have caused, as if something enormous had taken us tightly in its clutches before ripping chunks from the hull. And afterwards, there were 5 men missing. The captain wrote in his log that they had fallen into the sea, but then we found body parts in the rigging, an arm and part of a torso, as if something had chewed them to pieces. Oh hey, storyteller. Now there's silence in the starless night. Someone nearby takes a long slug of I almost said rug. Give credence to Medina's tale. Pay attention saying it's not true. Sure, let's give credence. Why not? Let's spook some people and try to ease up our paranoia by making more people paranoid. Not sure how that works, but let's do it anyway. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than... Fumble. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt in your philosophy, says Hamlet. But perhaps Shakespeare had not known the ocean, or he would have said more. The other crew members look at you as if you were a strange creature. You laugh it off, blaming it on too much dodgy rum. Your reference to rum seems to convince the other sailors, who decide to drink more themselves. You all decide that, of course, it was just the rum that made you believe Medina's ridiculous tale, and there is laughter all around. Sure. Stay for long with brig, go back below deck. Let's stay for a little bit. You stay on deck, enveloped by the darkness of the night. Medina's stories disturbed you more than you would care to admit. Around you, there is only the sound of the waves, the wind in the sails, and the faint creaking of the lantern you are carrying. You walk carefully, checking each step as you go. There is a strong wind swirling around the masts and flapping the sails. A strong gust almost puts you off balance. Something about it seems more than just wind. More a presence. You detect a shadow moving at your side. Then you feel a sensation like a scratch on your leg as another shadow whips past you. But when you turn around and hold up your lantern, there's nothing there. You walk back toward your cabin. Out of the corner of your eye, you catch the quick movement of a shadow. Then another. Suddenly, you find yourself surrounded. Dozens of figures closing in on you. They look like shadows, but at the same time, they seem to have a certain density. They have a vaguely human form, but their portions appear deformed. They with unnaturally lengthy limbs. They appear to have claws instead of fingertips. You see them coming from the sides of the ship, over the railings, down from the masts, and along the bridge. They are getting closer and closer from every direction. You hear a low, ominous snarl. Don't mind me. Boosting my agility really quick. 'Cause it seems I'm gonna need it. Bye! You race headlong toward the door, doing your best to ignore the shadows. The lantern falls to the deck and breaks, shooting flames in all directions. When you reach the far end of the bridge, you stop and look around. The shadows have gone. It is as if even they had never been there at all. The wind is blowing, and the ship rolls gently as on any normal evening, except the rising flames. You are cold and alone on the deck, when suddenly your vision fades into blackness, and you lose consciousness. Hey, I thought you could hold your rum. Medina's voice penetrates your skull and your mind. You slowly open your eyes and look around. There's a group of sailors, including Medina and Elian the captain. Give him space. Can you stand up? You nod and stand up. You brush it off as a momentary feeling of faintness. That was a bad read, let me try again. You brush it off as a momentary feeling of faintness. Then suddenly, you remember the flames. Don't worry, we put them out. Get to your cabin. Let's see if a night's sleep will sort you out. You thank the captain and say goodnight to the sailors who helped you back to your bunk. Lying in your hammock, you think back to the shadows on deck and wonder, with a shiver, if something there had really been... Wait, let me look at this. And wonder, with a shiver, if something there had really been any... This seems worded improperly. If something there had really been anything there. That is an awkward way to say that. Oh well, let's try from the top. Lying in your hammock, you think back to the shadows on deck, and wonder with a shiver if something there had really been anything there, or if it were all just a dreadful hallucination. The Serenity had docked in New Bedford, its first port of call. It will only be a short break. You will have to depart again only a few hours later. Elian calls you into his cabin. You have no idea why you've been called, but it does not take long to find out. The captain wishes to ask a favor of you. I need the substance indicated on this note. Here at the port there is a man who can procure it, but I need someone to verify its authenticity. And since you're a doctor, I think you should be able to tell if it's real or not. This is the money you will need. Ilian gives you some banknotes. You have disembarked, and now you're walking through the harbor. You are now far away from London, Zanzibar, and the cult. Well, you'll be very far away from the cult now that they're all a bunch of incinerated corpses, but, that's neither here nor there. The madness of your old life is beginning to seem like a hazy dream. Despite the hustle and bustle of this small-town harbor, you're beginning to relax. The cold air is nippy, but fresh. You're even thinking of abandoning the merchant's ship and settling here for a while. Go to the harbor shop and find the substance. Captain asks for it. Go and have a drink. I'll do the mission. As much as I would like to relax, I was given some money and a job. It'd be a real dick move to just blow it off at the bar. Despite your plan to abandon the ship, you decide first to go and find what Captain Elian asked you to get. You read the note. It's an opium derivative, a strong painkiller. Now you understand the captain's reticence in speaking of it. No doubt he suffers from chronic pain and needs the substance for relief. You follow the directions on the note, and you find yourself in a shop in the harbor that sells just about everything. You approach the owner and make your request. I know this substance. The man looks at you suspiciously until you explain that you're buying it on behalf of the captain of the Serenity. The man nods and asks you to follow him to the back of the shop. When you get there, it is dark and dusty. The shopkeeper wants the money first. Negotiate. I have the money, but I want to see what I'm paying for first. The man grunts and opens a piece of cloth to show you the organic material inside. Well, it sure is a good thing I'm a doctor. You try to get a better look at the dried plant material in the sack, even taking a small pinch, rubbing it between your fingers and smelling it carefully. The shopkeeper is trying to hide his obvious frustration. When you're satisfied with the veracity and quality of the product, you wrap it up again and pay the shopkeeper and head off back to your ship. You must return and report to the captain. You, however, have been at sea for quite some time, and are considering the idea of taking a load off your feet and having a quick drink. Yeah, sure, now we can relax, we've done the deed. You went to the nearest harbor taverns, and even though it's the middle of the day, the place is filled with men killing time before their next departure by drinking at a rapid pace. You order a pint of beer and sit down to reflect further on the possibility of leaving the Serenity and starting a new life here. It is very tempting. You could assume a new identity. Forget about all the troubles in Delft and London, and the disease. Suddenly you hear shouting behind you. Two drunken, red-faced sailors are arguing about something. Others join in the discussion, and before long someone throws a punch. Pandemonium breaks out, and you see a man being picked up and slammed down right onto the table where you are sitting. Your beer is sent flying and smashes on the floor. Let's aid him. You lean over the man. He seems dazed. The first thing to do is move him to a safer part of the room. But just as you're trying to do this, a glass smashes onto your forehead, filling your face with blood and beer. You stand where you are, sitting on your stool, waiting for the fight to end, but someone grabs your shoulder from behind, and you can smell the alcohol on his breath. Bye, loser! You slip out of his hold and move away. He tries to lunge forward and grab you again, but he falls to the ground. He continues swearing and lashing out at anyone who comes close. You leave the tavern and walk back to the ship along the streets of New Bedford, in the direction of the ship. After what happened at the tavern, you've abandoned the idea of settling here. For now, it is best to keep moving. You walk up to the Serenity's gangway. As soon as you're on deck, you run into Captain Ilian, who looks at you anxiously. Well? With a smile, you take out the package that Captain Ilian wanted. Good work, Huntington. The captain gives you a broad smile and pats you on the back and takes the product. Shouting orders, he walks off back to his cabin. I got a mission accomplished. Prepare to set sail! Actually, I should back... Well, it doesn't matter now. You've already done it. Ooh. Mist. Oh shit, it's gonna get Barovia up in here. Or Silent Hill, take your pick. Both are misty fucking places. Alright, so we already... Oh, I could buff Speechcraft again if I want to. But because I am doing doctoral work, I think I'm gonna buff Medicine now just to be safe. Alright. Back to the story. But with that, actually, I think we're gonna end this episode here. In the next one, we're going to see what happens in the mist. See you guys then.